In today's video, phase 1 of fat loss, the transition phase.
By myself.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Revelia from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, I want to talk about the idea of getting into fat loss. I think sometimes, for myself and for those that I talk to, I get the opinion that it can be a little bit overwhelming or daunting to go from having less structure to having a lot of structure. So I wanted to talk about my thoughts on how to go about that in the least impactful way to your life, but still be successful. And I definitely believe there are different phases to fat loss, as I've discussed in other videos. So maybe what I'll do over the next couple days is I'll do a video on each phase and how I feel that should go. Today we're going to talk about phase 1. Phase 1, I'm going to call the transition phase, all right? And here's how it goes. You either see a picture of yourself, set a goal to compete, have an event coming up. Maybe you want to look good at the Arnold or the Olympia or whatever it is you're going to, or maybe you have a beach vacation this summer and you want to start losing fat. Well, that's the beginning, right? That's the mental cue that you go, okay, let's start. And for any successful plan, you have to set it up in a certain way. I like to reverse engineer. I like to look at the end goal and figure out where I could start and then where I could afford to do some things in the middle there. But for starting, reverse engineer from the end, the goal. And then once I have that mental cue, that's when I get into what I call the transition phase. That's where I'll start tracking my diet for a couple days. And because this is more of a lifestyle for me, I kind of know where I'm at. I kind of know I'm in the 250 grams of protein, 400 to 500 grams of carbs, 100 grams of fat range, right? I know that because I've tracked my diet for years and I can look at food and kind of mentally track. But I'm often wrong. And so what I'll do for the first couple days when I get into this transition phase is get back into tracking accurately. Kind of look at where I'm at, go, oh, maybe I'm falling a little short on protein. Maybe I'm falling a little high on fat. Maybe my carbs are a little high or low or whatever's going on. Then I can do what I call the transition phase, where I set my plan up for the first week. That transition phase is not about me going from complete and utter chaos of just kind of planning some of my meals, but also eating out, but also, eating something out of my son's hand, or, if someone offers me something at an event or a party, I eat it. Going from that to completely shutting it down and eating out of Tupperware, not good for me. And maybe not good for you. This is just my opinion. Maybe that's your personality allows for that to happen better. But what I prefer to happen is I take that first 2 weeks of my diet, I call the transition phase. I just start to remove some of the questionable stuff out of the diet. I just start to say, no thank you. I just start to make better decisions. I start to plan ahead a few of my meals for the day, right? So instead of just YOLOing 3 or 4 meals a day, I will only YOLO 1 meal. Or maybe I will have 4 of my meals planned, but I'll have dinner with my family no matter what my wife makes, and I will just kind of eat based on what I feel my numbers should be for that day. This way I'm transitioning, and I'm not just jumping into for the last few weeks and months, I've been just kind of going based on whatever I want to eat into this complete structure rigidity that feels a little bit like prison. We are going to get there, depending on our goal. If your goal is to reach like elite conditioning, or you have a lot of weight to lose, you're gonna have to get to that place where you're very rigid, very structured. Cardio is high, calories are very specific. Foods become very specific because as calories get lower, macros get lower, your options become less, especially if you wanna be a high volume, flexible dieter. That's what I really like to teach my clients to do, right? Flexible dieting, but with a caveat. Using the best foods possible to reach those macros, okay? Not just having Pop-Tarts and ice cream, but figuring out how we can exchange some things we like for things we don't like. If you do not like broccoli, maybe you figure out another vegetable to fit your goals. If you do not like chicken, maybe you have turkey. If you are a vegetarian, we'll figure out some vegetarian sources, right? So flexible dieting with a structure. What this allows me to do is kind of get into tune with my body. I start adding in a little bit of cardio, I've literally done a couple 5-minute sessions this week. Now, why would I do 5-minute cardio sessions, you ask? Well, it's just for me a mindset thing. I'm so used to going to the gym, crushing my workout, having a great pump, walking out the door and going home. So telling myself that I now need to do a 20-minute cardio session can become troublesome because my brain's just not accepting that. So what I'll do is transition. I'll start doing 3 or 4 5-minute cardio sessions post-workout. And believe it or not, they can be a little bit challenging. Just getting on the bike, pedaling the bike for 5 minutes, I can feel myself huffing and puffing. So they do have a little bit of a benefit, especially if you've been doing no cardiovascular activity at all. But more importantly, I just get into the mindset of, let's go work out, let's do a little cardio, right? So when we combine these two things, we transition our nutrition to where we're making better choices, we're getting a little bit more accurate, right? We're having a little bit more structure. Then you start adding in some cardio, just a few light sessions per week, just to get your mind in the goal of doing this. Well, it just makes it much easier. The added benefit is, after you see a little progress taking this approach, you start to build some momentum. And then when we have momentum, we can get into the next phase of dieting, which I'll talk about tomorrow. So that's gonna be it for me today, guys. I just wanted to discuss this idea. I'd love to hear your feedback below. How do you guys transition into a fat loss phase? Do you prefer to go YOLO into strict, hitting my 5 Tupperware meals per day, doing my half hour of cardio a couple times a week? Do you prefer that? Or do you prefer to have like a transition phase to ease into it mentally? I'd love to hear your feedback on this because I know what I prefer. I know what I try to have my clients do. And sometimes I get pushback. Sometimes people just love the rigid nature of prep or of dieting and they like to just jump in both feet. What do you like to do? All right, guys, this is Paul and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All by myself.